What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNVDriversedition, and today I got another hot topic for you. So, the Grand Sport has been released, and the conversation piece that has been coming up a lot in the community is this Grand Sport really a great idea? Because so much about the Grand Sport is changing the C8 platform, and with the platform changing, many people feel like although their Corvettes have really not sustain any true form of value, the Grand Sport is making it worse. And so today I decided to just dive in to see, just with the release of the information, how bad has it actually gotten? Because if you want to get your hands on the C8, we may be heading into the time frame that you should be considering buying one. And if you already own one, it's only getting worse. Let's talk about it. So for 2027, GM is now releasing the Corvette Grand Sport, but the Grand Sport is only the icing on the cake. What's actually truly happened that's making this a hot topic to discuss is everything about the Grand Sport, minus the wide body, is now carrying downward towards the base C8. Now, although I don't expect a lot of base C8s to be produced in order to amplify, or should I say push, Grand Sport sales, but what I do recognize is that once the new 2027 model year comes out, which is technically in a few months, a lot of people may actually want to upgrade their Corvette C8. There will be some that want the performance and looking to have the latest and greatest, and this just may be good enough reason why. But my question comes to you, how has the C8 Grand Sport affected the Corvette market? Well, many of you know, if you've been following the channel, I actually unloaded Zeus. I unloaded Zeus maybe 5 months ago. And 5 months ago, my Corvette C8 2020 with 36,000 miles drew $59,500 on trade. Now, I just want people to understand that. 36,000 miles drew $59,500 on trade. My Corvette was a 3LT non-Z51 package, convertible, and it had a sticker of 85K. I'm seeing today Corvettes with 3LT spec with 20,000 miles, 17,000 miles, 16,000 miles being offered for 60 to 62,000. So in actuality, I can go out and buy my Corvette today in a different model with more equipment. 3LT, I didn't have nose lift. With nose lift, the Z51 package, and still get a car for 62 grand with less miles than what I had on my original car and come up 2 model years newer. So that's telling you right now that the Corvette market is actually going down and it's dropping like hotcakes. Now, the funny part about this is that I actually thought about buying a C7 model Corvette right around 45, 46,000 just to drive for the summer so I can still be in a performance car, because to be honest with you, everything I was starting to fear or be concerned about is actually happening. Now that GM has actually come out and let the world know the C8 Grand Sport is coming along with the C8 Grand Sport X, Corvette prices have actually been plummeting. The cheapest Corvette in my area is $57,000. It's a 2LT coupe with 50,000 miles. Now, I know for a lot of people, that's a lot of miles to buy into. But what's actually funny is a lot of people complain about how unreliable the C8 is, but the highest mile C8 on the market right now has 117,000 miles. But what's really crazy about that to me is it's still on the market for $50,000. You heard me correct, $49,995. But in the same price time, you can find other Corvettes, similar colors, same spec, if not more equipment, with 60,000 miles for $49,875. So that gap in miles is kind of tremendous, but the market has plummeted. So I'm looking at Chevy Grand Sports from the C7 era that is worth more money. And that's concerning to me. I'm looking at base C7s that is worth more money with a little bit less miles. But I don't want you to think the 66,000 miles is actually the problem, because when you shop around, you can actually find a 2023 Corvette C8 for $47,000 with 34,000 miles. And if you ask me, 34,000 miles isn't really bad miles today. I know for this being a Corvette market, most Corvette enthusiasts will not touch a Corvette with more than 30,000 miles. They have to be somewhere in 20,000 mile range or less. So when you start looking around for maybe more lower mileage cars, you'll start seeing, or you'll start running across coupe Corvette C8s with Z51 package for right around 52,000 with 27,000 miles. You can find countless cars from the 14 to 19,000 mile range for 55 to 58,000, and those numbers only continue to get bigger. And honestly, I know a lot of you are going to sit there and say, well, these are the 2020 and 2021 models. It doesn't even matter, because I see 2024 model year cars right now, 1 LT coupes, 2 LT coupes with the basic seat package going for $58,000 with 19,000 miles on them. So in essence, the $60,000 range has always been the target to own a Corvette C8. And if you look at under $60,000 today, there's over 287 Corvettes listed. And if you really start to care about mileage, when you drop to 20,000 miles or less, there's 137 on the market today. So that tells me that Corvette prices have not only dropped, they're plummeting. I still find it hard to believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just find it hard to believe that next year or this fall, the C8 Corvette will only be worth $38,000. But it seems to be happening a lot quicker than any of us ever thought. And actually owning a C7 Corvette is turned out to be a better investment. You heard me correctly. Owning a C7 Corvette is actually turned out to be a better investment. The C7s Grand Sports are going for 50 to 60 grand. The C8s are below that. The C7 Z06 is still in the market space between 60,000 and 75 grand. You can find some nicely equipped base C8s for that money, but the closest thing you'll come with that type of performance would be an E-Ray, and that's talking about the $85,000 range, and that car will happen to have like 34 to 40,000 miles. If you're not afraid of it, go get it. The Grand Sport is coming, and I keep saying, if it starts around 90,000 or 95 grand, which that's what a lot of people believe, so I'll stick with your pricing, getting a C8 E-Ray to me is still a better deal. The 535 horsepower Grand Sport compared to a 650 horsepower, or should I say combined horsepower E-Ray, for where most people are going to live in the power band spectrum and how much horsepower they're actually going to draw from driving this car, I hate to say it, but the E-Ray may be the better option because you can get more equipment, more options on an actual E-Ray than you can a Grand Sport. But that's only, in my opinion, if you're going to get the low wing Grand Sport and not the Z52 package, because the E-Ray doesn't come with anything close to a Z52 package. And I know they're going to say, well, they got the performance buff. What I'm saying is the aero. The aero is not made available from the manufacturer for the E-Ray. So if you really want the aero look, and you have to ask yourself, is it really worth the money, because it's not going to be cheap to put on your car, a E-Ray would actually be a better bargain because you're getting more performance, especially as they always say, every E-Ray owner, and most people that don't own E-Rays, but they try to argue they're not bad cars, is that for the power band range, or for where you're going to actually legally play in the power spectrum, the E-Ray is definitely the better car. And I have to agree. So when you look at a Grand Sport X, argument is out there. Matter of fact, I have a video coming. The argument is out there discussing, is the Z06 still the better car? But you can start getting into Z06 pricing, and there are used Z06s on the market today with Z07 packages that stickered for $158,000 once before. I've actually been looking at one that are going for $107,000, $112,000. You can even find Z06s today under $100,000. They're coupes and they're 1LZs, but they are there if you just want the performance and power. And many of them don't have bad miles. We're talking anywhere from 2,000 up to 16,000. And I just don't feel like those are bad miles for a C8 Z06, a 2023, whether a 2023 or a 2025, because they are out there. And if you ask me, for the money, even if a base Grand Sport X starts at $110,000, I would rather own a Z06 in the $95,000 range or the $99,000 range. That 15 extra grand for me, for what you're going to get with a base Grand Sport X, if you're just chasing the horsepower, I understand. But if you're looking for equipment and options, you're going to get more out of that Z06. So at the end of the day, what's actually happening is, now that we know the Corvette platform is taking a shift, or should I say the C8 platform is taking a shift, and at least for the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to get a new baseline power band range, the current market space is actually dropping. I would say don't fall into the trap, and remember that owning a 6.2 liter 495 horsepower Corvette C8 isn't a bad thing. And you can actually get some great deals on C8s today, because many people, and should I say the market, is now shifting to adjust for a new higher horsepower baseline Corvette coming out that looks the same. So unless you're one of those people that have to have the latest and greatest, you can actually get a great deal on a C8 today. And I'm not going to lie to you. Making this video has definitely put some thoughts into my mind. I was legitimately searching Corvettes just because I wanted another performance car for the summer. And I'm seeing them. But not only am I seeing them, I've actually found multiple cars with more equipment than I actually had on Zeus for $2,000 to $3,000 more, with over 20,000 less miles. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's hard for me not to really take those into strong consideration as possible cars to own for the summer. But I know if I get into it, I may end up owning it for another year or two, which will just prolong my upgrade process. So I got some thinking to do, because I wasn't expecting this type of damage to be done to the C8 market space. But I'm going to ask you, as a Corvette owner, as a potential Corvette owner, as a shopper of a new Corvette, would you buy the 6.2 liter Corvette today? Would you buy a current Z06 today? Or is it the Grand Sport is the only car for you? A lot of people are on budgets. I don't think the performance is going to be that big of a difference. Just because of how the Corvette lineup stacks up, I believe the Grand Sport will come in somewhere right around 2.7 in the 0 to 60. It may be a little bit faster, but that's probably the numbers GM is going to put out just to spark some interest into the base C8. And you have to understand, there are multiple videos out there with people actually hitting this with the 6.2 liter. So the car isn't slow, but everything has to be perfect. For me and myself, I was able to achieve 2.8 almost on the regular. The quarter mile town may improve by 0.2 seconds, 0.3. Again, I don't believe anything that the new Grand Sport is going to do is actually going to trump the E-Ray until you get to the X model. And even the X model, it may outperform the old E-Ray by 1/10 of a second. If you're going down drag strips, that might actually make a difference. That might be something you're concerned about, but it's not that big of a difference if you're just going to cruise around the car on a daily basis. And for most of the people watching this channel, and for most of the potential Corvette owners, and for most of the Corvette owners that I know out there, you're not racing your cars. You're enjoying your cars. You're pulling up to car shows, car meets, Corvette communities, Corvette clubs, and you just getting out, hanging out with your cars. You're showcasing your cars. You're enjoying them on short trips and quick rides. You may drive a little spiritedly, but many Corvette owners don't actually get out there and beat on their cars. So if that's how your ownership is going to go, do you need to commit the money to owning or upgrading to a higher horsepower car? I don't think it's necessary. But let me know in the comments below. ICNV Driver's Edition. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driver's Edition community. We are an interactive community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or comment in the comments below, I'll do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. But don't forget, we were all made in his image and given dominion over the world, which means we weren't just meant to be. So chase your dreams, build your visions, never ever give up, and embrace your own identity. It is okay to be unique. We were all given unique gifts to become the best version of us that we can possibly be. So step into your calling and become the blessing to the world that you were meant to be. Just remember to stay humble, stay focused, and stay blessed. And I'll see you in these streets. Peace.